You know, back in the day, whenever someone brought up the question, "What's your favorite Crash Bandicoot game?" I, and many others alike, would either say Crash 2 or Crash 3 worked. Crash 3 for the win, baby! Excuse me for that. Excuse me. Well, anyway, nowadays, there's a whole generation of individuals made up of mostly millennials to say Crash Twinsanity is actually the best Crash game ever made. Crash Twinsanity? Really? The best game from Crash Bandicoot is a game not even made by the original creative team of Naughty Dog. Well, I guess it's best to keep an open mind considering that I've never played the game nor seen any gameplay footage prior to making this review. So I am probably the most qualified to be reviewing this game since I am not blinded by nostalgia. Well, except for the old games. I actually grew up with Crash 3. Worked. Yeah. So I actually looked up a bunch of videos online on that Crash remake that they're making of the original 3 games. And a lot of people in the comment section in those videos are like, oh, they should remake Crash Twinsanity from the ground up. And I'm like, you freaking freaks! Your fantasies will never be quenched. Your fantasies will never be quenched. Well, anyways, shout out to Jabmaster for asking me for this review, and I just got one thing to say to him before I begin this review.
What will you learn? What will you learn? That your actions have consequences!
So after playing about 2 hours worth of the game, I can safely say it's a very decent game at best. Not bad, but not perfect either. Take away the Crash license, mute the music, forget the story, and you have yourself just a very generic game, but fun to a degree. It's a fun game, but only to a degree, a slight degree. I would say this game is definitely the best post-Naughty Dog Crash Bandicoot game, but otherwise, this is the 4th best Crash game. I gave it some slack there by placing it one space ahead of Crash Team Racing on the PS1, because, you know, it's a racing game. With all that said, let's begin the actual review. The game begins with, you know what? This game's story is too entertaining and hilarious for me to spoil in this review. Seriously, the main reason why I would actually recommend this game to someone is for the entertainingly funny and yet bizarre storyline. Don't believe me? Well, here's some out-of-context highlights. Enjoy!
Community people,
All you need to know story-wise is that an experiment Cortex worked on during his youth has come back for revenge, and he needs a team of Crash Bandicoot to stop his creation. Wait a second, why is Cortex yellow? He's not a Simpsons character for Pete's sake. Now this is what Cortex looked like in the original games. Joking aside, they changed Neo's skin color from tan to yellow because I guess it makes him look more cartoony. But now it's just inches away from being in that uncanny valley territory. On second thought, it definitely landed straight into that uncanny valley territory. So for the most part, you only get to play as solo Crash Bandicoot, with the occasional trailing Cortex and Crash duo modes. There's also a point in this game where you get to play as Cortex on his own, as well as his niece that no one knew existed before this game. But yeah, I never actually got any gameplay footage of that because I only played 2 hours and 30 minutes worth of this game. I never actually completed it. But hey, you wanted this review, so I gave you this review in a short period of time. You're welcome. So yeah, I could have took a little bit longer by playing this whole entire game, but I didn't. Might as well begin with critiquing the gameplay aspect of this video game. So yeah, it's a pretty generic game with a Crash Bandicoot coat of paint. The only thing it does unique gameplay wise is adding humorous animations with tag team combat and skiing rolling missions. Like most generic games, it tries adding new gameplay styles that for the most part do not work so well. I mean, look at this stealth section. What am I playing? Sly Cooper and a devious raccoonist? Seriously though, this stealth section sucks, but thankfully it never appears again throughout the rest of this game. Also, this forward running section can go to hell. No, for the last time, I'm not the Eggman. It took me 10 tries to beat this section. 25 if you count the time I played the game and my recording data got corrupted. Yeah, that's right, I had to beat this section twice for your entertainment. Does this not please you? Are you not entertained? But really, it only took me 2 to 3 tries on Crash 3 Warped in order to beat these type of stages. But in this next generation game title, I cannot even get to the end with less than 4 deaths. Okay, I actually see the problem here. That Wallace gains too much momentum within a short period of time. You cannot slow down for a millisecond, cause if you do, he's gonna touch you. And trust me, you do not want him to touch you. I'm just gonna bring up Crash 3 again. In Crash 3, the dinosaur that chases you only picks up momentum when you make a slight mistake. Otherwise, the dinosaur stays the same distance away from you at all times. While with Crash Twinsanity, the Wallace is making a crazy beeline towards you, and no matter what you do, he will always get close up in your personal business. I did eventually beat this level on my free time, but not during this actual recording session, which I only recorded like 2 hours and 30 minutes worth of gameplay, so yeah, don't expect me to beat a game in 2 hours and 30 minutes. Unless it's, I don't know, Metal Gear Solid Ground Zero. Oh, is that still current? Is people still talking about Metal Gear Solid Ground Zero? I think people are still talking about it. I'm just gonna shut up. Everything else gameplay wise is fantastic, but like I said before, it's pretty generic. I love the level designs. It certainly feels like a Crash Bandicoot game. The boss battles are very well put together, and I actually enjoyed beating all of them. Well, at least the ones I actually played. I only played 2 hours and 30 minutes worth of this game. You can tell the game designers put a whole lot of effort into a short period of time in order to get this video game as close to an open world Crash Bandicoot game as you can possibly get. I know the game designers only had less than a year to push this game out, but yeah, it feels like an open world game, though it's actually very linear in design. Just like Last of Us, ha 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 ha, I'm gonna get a whole lot of hate for that. Yeah, the game holds your hand through and through. It doesn't always tell you where to go, but it's always blatantly obvious where to go. Hell, the main objective is to find all of the purple crystals, but it's not much of a challenge to find them all. They are always right in front of you in each level and usually are part of a cutscene where the video shows them grabbing the crystal for you anyways. When you quote unquote find a crystal, you become able to tag team Cortex, sort of. You play as Crash, but now you can spin with Cortex, use Cortex as a hammer, and of course, have the ability to throw a Cortex. The throw Cortex ability is one tag team ability that you will be using the most often in this game. When walking around in tag team mode, you will immediately notice an increase of your player's hitbox range, meaning you now have a slightly larger turning radius, and now the enemies have a larger target to aim at, so good luck out there, you're gonna need it. Also in tag team mode, you will not be able to double jump. So whenever you reach an area where you must double jump platform with your buddy, Cortex, you must jump throw, platform, grab, and repeat. This is very tedious, but still doable in my opinion. Let's now talk about how Crash Bandicoot plays on his own, since you'll be playing as solo Crash Bandicoot throughout most of this game. Well, Crash actually plays exactly, and I do mean exactly, like he did in the PS1 games, which, believe it or not, is a problem. PS1 Crash's camera angles were only meant for a forward and back platformer. In this game, you'll be dying a lot because of the poor depth perception. Whenever you jump over a large pit in this game to land on a small floating box, you will most likely assume to double jump. Never double jump on those floating crates. Only single jumps here. Trust me on this, I am a professional. The funny thing is that Crash has of course a shadow that the game designers programmed to help players figure out easier where they would land after a jump. Well, this shadow seems to disappear whenever I start jumping on crates over a large hole in the ground, so I have no clue where the hell I'm gonna land in this game. Other than that, Crash plays just like you would expect. It feels fine. He can spin, double jump, belly flop, slide, and crawl on the ground. The enemy AI in this game are fine, but I don't particularly like their hit detection. When I attack an enemy in this game, they do not respond to a spin attack as well as they did in the PS1 games. Instead of feeling like you are hitting butter or a slight breeze, it actually feels like you're instead punching someone in a fighting game, like in Power Stone or Mortal Kombat. That's all I gotta say about that. In this game, none of the enemies are any real use to the player, except for one abomination. That's a slug, which is a friendly AI that helps the player reach new heights in the game. So is a jump pad? Yes, it is a jump pad, okay? Ah! It bit me! Try bite me now, slug! From the afterlife. Wow, the slug has come back from the dead. Must be one of those self-repeating immortal Frankenants. Or it could just be a second slug. No wait, it's his brother, avenging the death of his twin. It's his twin brother! I'm gonna follow him home. Kill his whole family. If no one gets this reference, then you missed out on a great show from the 90s. Man, I feel like I'm forgetting something. Oh yes, I remember! There were also a whole bunch of hidden diamond gems hidden across the video game landscape. Most are easy to find, but others are either well hidden or require traversing a convoluted path in order to reach them. I have no idea what they unlock in the long run, but hey, good luck finding them all if you are contemplating on 100% this game. Good for you, man. Good for you. I wouldn't do that. The only other important thing I haven't talked about is the music, and wow, it does not disappoint. The whole entire soundtrack consists of an a cappella group singing and making noises to a rhythmic beat. It's simply fantastic and it really matches to the overall art style of this game. So yeah, and that's about it. I only recorded about 2 hours and 30 minutes worth of this game, so I can't tell you how Solar Cortex or his niece named Nina plays in this game. And I'm not gonna spoil the game's story for anyone. But I did forget something. It's also worth mentioning that it no longer matters how many crates you break in this game. Of course, it's still useful to break crates for Wampa Fruit to reach a goal of 100 Wampa Fruit for an extra life. There are also still checkpoint crates, TNT crates, and nitro crates that explode if you tap it slightly. Die and you return to the checkpoint crates. If you lose all your lives, you will restart all the way back to the beginning of the level or chapter. This is very tedious, but still doable. Also, the graphics in this game are very stylistic and actually hold up to this day in my opinion. Okay, I think I covered everything by now, so it's time for the final verdict. Well, I hate using the generic 10 out of 10 ranking system since it's not very perfect when rating games of different genres. For instance, if a first-person shooter gets a 10 out of 10, it should not mean that it's better than a 3D platformer that got an 8 out of 10. They are two different genres, so you should not compare the two games because they were made for separate demographics. Are first-person shooters the same thing as a 3D platformer or a puzzle game perhaps? No. So that said, Crash Twinsanity is a 7 out of 10 for the 3D platforming genre of games. Meaning I'm only comparing it to games like Mario Galaxy, which is a 10 out of 10 in my opinion, and Bubsy 3D, which is a 1 out of 10. I'm certainly not comparing this game to Battlefield 2 or Rayman Origins since they're from separate genres of gaming. Crash Twinsanity gets a 7 out of 10 for its generic gameplay, which you would commonly find in licensed games. Now, even though it's a pretty generic game, what is there is done very well. I love the boss battles though, the cutscenes are funny as hell, the music is fantastic. I still stick by the fact that this game does not hold a candle to the PS1 trilogy, but I can safely say it is so far the best post-Naughty Dog Crash game out on the market today. Maybe one day even Vicarious Visions will create their own original Crash Bandicoot game that will surpass Crash Twinsanity's video gaming quality. But for now, we are getting a remaster from the ground up collection of the original trilogy for the PS4. I, of course, will not be buying said collection since I already own the original games and I do not own a PS4. Unlike most people, I am a die-hard Sega Genesis fan, so I usually spend my spare cash on old Sega Genesis games that I don't only own. So that's the end of this quick spoiler-free review of Crash Twinsanity. If you couldn't already tell, I was playing the game on the PS2. In the end, I would recommend this game to any Crash fan with a sense of humor because I can safely say that Crash Twinsanity is one of the funniest games I've ever played in my whole life. Plus, it still pays homage to the previous Crash Bandicoot games. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the review, and please leave a comment down below on what game you would like to see me review next time. This has been RamsTheNameCom signing out. Peace. Hope you enjoyed the video. And if you're new to the channel, please don't look at my previous reviews. They're terrible. This is the best review I've made so far. Actually, you might like that SpongeBob review I made a few weeks ago called Sandy's Nutmere. So look at that if you want, but that's the only good review I made. This and SpongeBob review. So yeah, goodbye, and I hope you enjoyed the review. Peace out, goodbye. Hope you enjoyed the video, and see you next time when I review something else. I don't know. So yeah, goodbye. Hope you enjoyed the video. Peace out.
Crash will fight to save her. He'll never surrender. He'll vanquish any villain to set his girlfriend free. He doesn't have a clue about how to proceed. His heart's in the right place. His brain's been rearranged. Unsuccessfully. Crash Bandicoot. If Cortex isn't beaten, he'll reign absolute. Crash Bandicoot. Play our game and tell your friends so we'll make lots of you.